So this is the product session, and to present us the findings of the SMART project on the products, i.e. sustainable circular economy. We have Eléonore Maitre-Ekern, SMART team member and researcher at the Department of Private Law, University of Oslo. Your PhD research aimed to explore the basis for a legal framework for the circular economy that can guarantee a sustainable future for humanity. So I hope that the representative of the Commission will be all ears. And I give you the floor now for the findings of the SMART team. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Norway has, since the late 1990s, a deposit refund system for most plastic bottles and cans. A fee, pant, in Norwegian, that is between 20 to 30 euro cents, is added to the sale price and refunded to the consumers when they bring the bottles and cans back, which allows for those to be recycled. A great model of circularity that ensures that 95% of bottles and cans are collected and recovered. A great model of circularity for unsustainable products. We are talking here about single-use products made of plastics and aluminiums that are collected to be recycled, most of the time downcycled, so put together to make new products of lower quality and losing a lot of material value along the way. The good news is that many of us are now using reusable bottles. However, those bottles are not part of any return system. So we have little alternative than to throw them in the waste bin when we are done using them. And if a part breaks, it is often quite difficult to repair it or replace it at reasonable costs. In addition, their production may not be sustainable at all, and in any case requires resources, and all in all, it creates new environmental problems at the disposal phase. As long as we keep trying to fix one problem at a time, or focus on circularity alone, without looking at the product as a whole, in a holistic perspective, or sustainability, we will not achieve a sustainable circular economy. The test of true circularity has to be its sustainability. And it is the responsibility of policymakers to ensure this sustainability. The EU, as a global actor and one of the world's biggest markets, has a unique opportunity and indeed responsibility to ensure that the transition to a more circular economy is sustainable. This requires legislative reforms, starting with the development of a true product regulation that focuses on preventing both environmental and social harm throughout the product's life cycle. It requires reforms that ensures products placed on the EU market are made to last and be repaired, and that Europe's circular transition is not achieved at the expense of the most vulnerable people and the rest of the world. Our main proposal is for the EU to adopt a framework directive for products. Such a directive should establish that any product regulation is to be based on a strong precautionary principle that requires to avoid harm as far as possible. EU waste law has set up a hierarchy of waste management that prioritizes waste prevention over preparation for reuse, recycling, recovery, and disposal. We propose taking prevention seriously and establishing a hierarchy of resource use in the proposed framework directive. This resource hierarchy, in fact, spells out what an EU guidance document already establishes, that prevention means quantitative reduction, and that's what we refer to with avoidance. Qualitative reduction improving the product's life cycle, and maintenance, that is ensuring a product is kept in use longer. This hierarchy also spells out the various meanings of reuse and establishes clear priorities between them. This hierarchy should then form the basis for the development of specific policies, and in particular policies implementing a duty of care for producers that we also propose to establish in the Framework Directive. This duty of care consists in part in imposing a pre-market responsibility to ensure that the most unsustainable products can no longer reach the EU market, and that repair and reuse systems are in place at the time the product is placed on the market. The duty of care shall also impose a sustainability due diligence for the product itself, a duty for producers to know about environmental and social harm or impacts of their products, and a right for citizens to know about those impacts. Eco-design requirements for durability and repairability are bound to play a central role in tomorrow's product policy. But production is only one side of a sustainable circular economy. The other side is consumption. A reusable bottle will only be more sustainable than a single-use plastic alternative if it is used for a much longer period and repaired if it breaks. The challenges of sustainable consumption are great and must be properly addressed. Empowering consumers to make sustainable choices is crucial and can be helped through proper labeling about durability and repairability, and by ensuring access to other relevant information, and by ensuring consumers can in fact repair their products. But that is not enough. Even the most committed consumers are faced with several constraints, not least financial ones. And the choice of durability often comes at a financial cost. That is why we must reform the current system of legal guarantees to provide that products are covered for the entire lifetime, that the burden of proving a default always rests on the seller, and that normal wear and tear of longer use is also guaranteed. And because the sustainable choice is not always the most evident, policymakers have a responsibility to promote that choice. That implies, for example, that the means of redress for a defaulted product have to follow a clear order, that is, first repair, and if that's not possible, replacement by repaired or remanufactured, and only if that is not possible, replacement by a new product. And because individual consumers face so many constraints, public authorities must show the way. That means sustainable public procurement must no longer be simply tolerated. It has to be required. Sustainable production and consumption policies must focus on regulating products and consumption behaviors. And that is also why we propose to revise waste legislation, and in a sense, narrow its scope by introducing, as a first step, a reuse exception to the waste definition, inspired by the byproducts exception that is now in the Waste Framework Directive. And also by focusing on producer responsibility, that is for the sustainability of the product and not for the management of waste. In a sense, our proposals would allow moving from a model that relies on financial incentives placed at the end of a product's life. A model that implies that the next step from consumption necessarily is waste, to a model where the sustainability of a product condition its access to the EU market. A model where products' lifetime is extended not only at the stage of initial consumption, but also through reuse in its various forms. And also a model where a product becoming waste is in fact the exception and not the rule. This is the essence of our reform proposals for products. We are, as for the business and finance proposal, writing a big report that we will finalize next week. We have developed some more detailed proposals in that report, and we are hoping to integrate your feedback from today. So we very much hope that we have a good discussion, but also please do get in touch also after the conference so that we can develop as best as possible report together and hopefully have an influence on not least the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Eléonore. So you can come and sit.